But I thought over the weekend I expected Liverpool to get a result, obviously at home, with the circumstances as well, with Jota and all that sort of stuff. Tottenham, you expected to get 3 points as well, against Burnley. But probably the surprise of the weekend was Chelsea, probably being at home with Palace. But Palace, we all know, are a very, very good side now, aren't they? I mean, they're very organised. I think the manager's a very, very good manager. And, you see them beat Liverpool. And you see them, they don't seem to give in, do they? They seem to keep going, which is a credit to Palace. And yesterday's game was a little bit, it was, for Arsenal's point of view, it was always going to be a tough game because they've had a decent window, Manchester United, with the signings they've brought in. And it's the rivalry between both clubs is always going to be fierce, especially playing away from home first game. So delighted with the result, really. Look, Man United probably deserve something out of the game because I thought they played really well, Man United. But Arsenal, at the end of the season, you don't want to go back in certain games and say, "Oh, we was lucky there." You just got to get the 3 points and wait to and look forward to the next game. Really, Leeds United.
Yeah, it was quite sort of an old school sort of Arsenal performance, wasn't it? 1-0 to the Arsenal.
Yeah, I thought the defending was good at times when they find their bodies in, and Raya had another good game. Raya in goal, only a couple of good saves. But I thought, I like Zubimendi as well. I thought he was very efficient in midfield, pretty solid. So I think he's a really good signing for Arsenal going forward. And he probably just didn't go for Gyökeres up front. He worked hard though. He worked his socks off, which is what you want to see. You can't always have a great game. And it's one of them old school, as you rightly said there, old school results. You just get the job done. I remember 2002 when we went up there. We won 1-0 and we won the league. So you just defend for your lives and and get the result.
And I was going to say, I mean, how important is that result? Because Arsenal have had, whatever United have been through, Arsenal have struggled to win at Old Trafford in recent.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and they're going to be up for it. I think all the fans of Man United will be on a bit of a high with the signings they made. I thought when Burmo's a good player, he's going to be. Cunha was excellent running with the ball and made things happen. So they made some good signings. I think Manchester United might do well this year. Looking at their team, I thought they was pretty solid. They're pretty good going forward as well. They just didn't get that little bit of luck in front of goal. So I thought, in that respect, it's a great result for Arsenal. It really is. It's always going to be a tough start away from home, especially Man United with the rivalry, as we mentioned. But now, you've got Leeds United at home. It'd be interesting to see how that goes tonight. Leeds United, really looking forward to that one. See how they set up and what sort of personnel for next week, Arsenal's point of view. But those sort of games, you just got to get a result, and that's what Arsenal. That's why I was really, really pleased how they really, stood firm for 90 minutes, and you just kept going. And I thought Mikel Arteta would be delighted well, not so much the performance because I think you can play a lot better, but with certain with the result itself, he'd be absolutely delighted how they got over the line, and shows they've got that little bit of resilience, which is we all know they're a good team going forward and can make things happen. But resilience side is so important if you're going to be successful.
Yeah, last season, because I did this stat when I was covering the match yesterday, they let slip 21 points from leading positions. That, I mean, that obviously that's the difference between winning the title or not, isn't it? And
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
so,
yeah. They
so
can't do that. You got to. If you're behind, you got to get somehow back into the game. That's where your bench can come into it. Which they've got people can change games. But when you're leading, it's all about when you're up against it, because you're never going to be on top of the game with the whole game. There's always going to be a spell where you're under the cosh a little bit, and that's where you've got to have organisation. That's where you've got to have leaders on the pitch, boss people around, and that's what we had. Where they're really getting a little bit of joy on the right hand side, you got to stop that straight away somehow as a player. So, I know Tony Adams said about the captain in the week, and you've got to have captains all over the pitch. You can't just have one captain. You've got to have different captains bossing people around, centre halves and whatever. So it's a situation where I thought they did that yesterday. I thought they really all dug in deep. Saka didn't have his best game, but he was working hard to try and help his defence out and all that sort of stuff. So that is so important if you're going to be successful, definitely.
yeah, I mean, it seems like when there was a phase when Arsenal was said to have no leaders, even the captain wasn't much of a leader. But would you say that's changed now?
Yeah, I do. I think you know, you can see Saliba, Gabriel at the back. You know, they're throwing their bodies in, and when you see that, it always gives you that little bit of a buzz, and you want to throw your body in. So I think it's so important. As I said before, you know, I know Martin Odegaard is the captain, and he's been a brilliant player for Arsenal. But you've got to have different characters all over the pitch, and you know, Declan would be one of them. Zubimendi looks like he's a bit of a leader. You know, he's done really well in that midfield as well. So I think that is it. That is really important. I mean, yeah, as I said before, I'm going back my teams. We had all different players who could have a go at people and make sure people do their jobs, which if you do your job, we decide they've got you got more chance of winning football matches, which they did yesterday.
Yeah, so was that the most satisfying aspect of the Arsenal display? Was that just that? Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Look,
fast.
they can play. They can play a lot better. You know, we yeah, at times Man United were very very good under and Arsenal under the cosh a little bit, but I really like the way they got the result in the end. You know, just by being resilient, being tough. You know, getting everybody behind the ball, making it difficult to Man United to create chances. And as I said before, we go back to George Graham's era. You know, 1-0 to the Arsenal back in the day. But it doesn't matter because you're still getting 3 points every week. You could argue the football wasn't great sometimes, but it's all about results and all about winning titles. And you can't play well every week. That's the big thing in football. You know, you're going to have off days. You're going to have players off days, but it's all about that. You know, work rate. And if you're not having a good game, make sure you work hard for the team, and that's what they showed yesterday. And I think that's why I would be more happy with that scenario than, you know, on another day they might have got rolled over because Man United they had a lot of the ball, they created chances, but you know, so to come away with a 1-0 win away from home the first game of the season is very very satisfying if you're an Arsenal fan.
Yeah, I mean, United were pretty impressive, weren't they? As a mistake.
Yeah, I thought they're good. You know, they had that little spring in their step. I think the site, as I said before, I think the fans going up to Old Trafford would have been quite excited that they spent a lot of money. They have spent a lot of money this summer. So it gives that little bit of, you know, maybe whether they're going to buy someone else, I don't know, a midfielder maybe. But they looked a little bit of different team going forward yesterday. I thought it was quite exciting to watch. So Man United could have a good season this year. So to go there, as I said before, as an Arsenal player, you knew it might be a little bit more of a difficult game than last season. And it proved that, but they got the result, which is the most important thing. One bad mistake for Manchester United, and it's in the back of the net from the goalkeeper's point of view. But you know that's what you got to try and do and go up there. As I said before, very very similar to 2002 when we went to Old Trafford and won 1-0 to win the league. You know, at times we stopped them creating chances by hard work in midfield and defending like our defence, if you like, the midfield boys. And I saw that a little bit out yesterday. So, you know, as I said before, I would have snapped your hand off if you said 1-0 to Arsenal and look forward to the Leeds game next week now.
Yeah, especially as you tipped it as 1-0 as well.
Well, yeah, I thought it'd be a tight game. A lot of people saying, well, might be goals in it, but it's always a funny game, Arsenal Man United. It's always a little bit cagey. And I just thought, look, I had Arsenal. I was either going to go 2-1 Arsenal or 1-0. That was my prediction really. And it could have been 2-1 either way really, if I'm being honest. So I was well happy with that 1-0.
Football people look for omens and sort of superstitions, don't they? Last time Arsenal finished second 3 years in a row, they went and did the double. Went and won the league anyway. So do you think there's anything in that have you seen? I mean, it's only one game, but can Arsenal convert that three second places to a title?
Well, they need to. They need to. You know, but it's a tough league. I mean, the Championship. You don't have to win the double. The Championship is just to be enough. The Premier League. Don't be too greedy. But yeah, look, it's a long, hard season. You've got to really. I think after 6 games, we'll look at Arsenal and see where they are. I should imagine with the start they've got a difficult start. You know, we've got Leeds next. Obviously, got Liverpool, Man City, Newcastle. So they've got a tricky start. So I always look at it. I don't think you can judge anything after one game, but all I can say is a good result, good 3 points which they needed, especially away from home. And I'm sure the bookmakers would have eased them a little bit in the betting. I should imagine, not a lot, but I'm sure Liverpool will be favourites still to win the league. But I think after 6 games, you can really sense where clubs are going to be going. You know, as I said before, Brentford got beat yesterday. They might have a long, hard season. Wolves beat them. I know Man City beat them. And Man City might be up there. I'm sure Man City have eased in the price as well after that result. But I think after 6 games, you can have a little look at the league and see roughly where teams could be heading, whether it's going to be a relegation battle, mid-table, or maybe at the top going for the European places. But it's very hard to judge after 1 game.
Yeah, and just finally, with the windows to open, Liverpool could get Gahey and Isak, and who knows who else United could get in. Do you think Arsenal need more? They've got 6 players already. Do you think they need to get more in, more out?
Well, everybody's hoping for as many players as they can. You know, it's always been like that. And more quality in your team, more chance you've got of winning. More chance you've got if you've got injuries, you've got the backup to come in. I'm sure West Ham will be looking at players now after that result of the weekend because they're short. Tottenham definitely need players as well with the Champions League looming. So they're going to be. So it's going to be a hectic probably last. Probably a few days of the transfer window or a few weeks of the transfer window. If Arsenal, I know they've been linked with Eze. I think he's a super player. So, you know, that will be another good signing for Arsenal's point of view, that midfield. It gives people options because you never know. We had quite a few injuries last season, which they probably lost them the title at certain times of the season. So the bigger the squad, I know it's hard to keep everybody happy. That's the hard bit for a manager. But the more quality players you have, the more chance you've got of winning any trophy. So I'd love to see Eze coming in because I really do enjoy watching him play. But whether the money's there, I don't know. And with all the fair play rules now, I don't know if they couldn't. I don't know where they are in that situation. They probably need a few bodies out as well, Zinchenko, people like that. But obviously, they're harder to move these days. You know, people on good contracts and they're happy, they're settled. And that's the hard bit now about football, getting players out of the club more than bringing them in.
Right, it's always good to talk to you. Thanks a lot for your
Nick,
time.
have a good day, mate.
Likewise, thanks a
Take
lot.
it easy, pal.